I want to talk about a media archetype that I'm starting to slowly see pop up in pop culture, and I'm calling her the Black ingenue. You can actually thank Love Island for this. The stories of Trinity and Anaya Went from this past season of Love Island is really solidifying for me that no, I think this is like an up and coming, I don't know if it's like a character type, but it's a new way that we're seeing Black women on screen. Firstly, if you're not aware, an ingenue is a kind of character well known from like a lot of romance novels or romantic plays. And this is usually like a young female heroine who is kind of naive about the world. She has a lot of innocence, a lot of beauty in her youth. There's something admirable about how she views the world in positivity in a way often before she finds out how dark it is. So character examples would be, Juliet, Maria from West Side Story, Rapunzel from Into the Woods, Cosette. So when I'm talking about the Black ingenue, it's not typically just like an ingenue that's now Black. It's a little bit more than that. For me, what I'm recognizing is that this new character type is a young Black woman that is very aware of the injustices and the unfair treatment she could have in this world and be experiencing. But at the same time, she doesn't lose hope. The Black ingenue is at the intersection of the traditional aesthetics we see when it comes to romanticism, particularly when it comes to how young women are portrayed, but through the lens, I would say, of allowing the beauty and also pain associated with the Black identity to weave into that. For me, the first real kind of signal to this was Bridgerton. I think this is the first time we are regularly seeing on screen Black people of all skin tones in that regal/Victorian. I know they're all separate terms, I get it. But I don't think before Bridgerton we have really seeing Black characters exist in that space with it not being associated with chattel slavery. And obviously we know that in real life, we are well aware that in real life, it's historically accurate. We're well aware. When it comes to stuff like Bridgerton, it's a fantasy show though, right? So seeing Black characters in that space was kind of a moment, I feel, in media. And following that, we have Halle Bailey playing Ariel. And that's another big moment where as much as people want to complain and say it's DEI, at the end of the day, for that time period, looking back, Halle Bailey was easily the strongest vocalist of her contemporaries. Like, of the kind of actors they were pulling for the Disney live action movie, Halle Bailey above all of them. Whether or not you liked the actual remake itself, Ariel is one of those characters that like you have to sing. You have to sing to be Ariel, and they got a girl who can sing. She just happened to be Black. I'm even noticing among my younger family members the dolls that they have and the costume that they can choose from that is so different from my experience when I was their age. And I'm just so happy to see it. I'm so happy to see it. And the last example for me that has been the most striking is the character arcs played out for Trinity and Anaya in Love Island this past season, season 8. Now, I am not a regular watcher of Love Island. I was very entertained. I understand why people love this. It is very fun. And I was also really fascinated by the many different character storylines that were occurring. At the end of the day, we're watching really a Truman Show scenario, which is insane that that's like a common thing now, but these people are ending up in character types, right? So what I noticed was that Trinity and Anaya had a really good edit. Both of their stories were so centered on themselves in a way that I don't really think I've seen Black women portrayed in a modern romantic context. I really don't. We get to witness Trinity acknowledge her insecurities about being potentially fetishized by Bryce. That's a real conversation. Trinity already came in with such a beautiful spirit and such a lively attitude that like you knew that she was a star, and I feel she's going to be a star. And it was interesting for her and her connection with Bryce where it really felt that Trinity was truly experiencing a new becoming as a person in her attraction to Bryce that I don't think we really saw with like any of the other couples. What really got me was when Trinity decided to kiss, I forgot his name. It was a guy that was also interested in Melanie. And when Trinity started kissing him and she had a little fun moment in there, I was like, I'm so glad she's doing this because she's 21, 22? Like she should be able to explore in that way because her and Bryce have had conversations about their age gap. She got the test without any judgment. Am I really attracted to Bryce regardless of these other factors? And when she ended up kissing with the guy and she had a fun time with that guy, she left and she was like, no, like, I miss Bryce. And I'm just like, oh, god damn. I feel like any other show, if that was to occur, they would have focused so much on her kissing when Bryce didn't kiss anybody aside from like the games where he had to kiss people. And so I really enjoyed that because like that was an understandable character moment for her because again, she is a lot younger than Bryce, and to try to tell her or push her to just getting with Bryce because, okay, it feels right, even though they had these different life experiences, I'm glad we had that moment. So with Anaya is fascinating too because we hear her from the jump explain that she knows what she wants, right? Like she wants that romantic connection and fairy tale like. And when Casey was telling her that she's like delusional or that that's unrealistic, that was, again, a very fascinating moment where I'm like, but why? Like, what makes it unrealistic? Why should it be unrealistic for Anaya when we see a lot of women get that kind of experience, you know? And then she did end up getting that experience through Carl, even though at first she rejected it because she felt she kind of wasn't worthy of it from, it sounds like her words, and she wanted to put other people before herself. I'm glad that she got a second chance to really experience what she wanted. What Anaya wants in a relationship, in that romanticism and whimsy and all that, Casey just was the type of person that could provide that for her, but Carl is, and that's okay. Just as for Tiara, Casey is what she would want in a male partner. So it's like, it all worked out in the end. Essentially, I'm starting to wonder if we're going to keep seeing this media type of young Black women being able to have their stories centered on whimsy and fantasy and longing and yearning. There was so much yearning from Bryce. Like, I've never seen a man yearn so much on screen, I think, in modern television. Like, Casa Amor was just true television. And bonus, this archetype is kind of coming its own way through Broadway musical theater. Let me explain. In recent years, we're seeing a lot of Black actresses get to play ingenue or romantic lead roles in the big classics, whether we're talking about Phantom of the Opera or Les Mis. We're about to have Sound of Music. I get to watch these young Black women inhabit these like main character roles, and it's been very interesting watching them create their own interpretation of these characters through their own identities. Like when I've gone to see shows like Phantom or Les Mis, I feel like it really enhances the character, and I feel like it makes these characters more relatable, enjoyable, and I'm loving even the way that their costumes are being adjusted, whether it's wigs, whether it's makeup, to again really truly make sure that these actors are truly emulated in their natural beauty and youth to come out into these characters. It's really beautiful. I will talk about another time. My few qualms about this type is, number one, it's very limiting, I would say, in terms of diversity. I have to say, it makes me wonder like what kind of Black women get to be in this upcoming kind of role. I've also noticed that it's more often that these women end up in interracial relationships, which is not necessarily a bad thing at the start, but I do sometimes wonder if creating this dynamic could come sometimes at the expense of punching down on fully Black couples. That's something that I would be a little concerned about. For me, the Black ingenue is a interesting moment in media time where we're starting to see young Black girls and young Black women be portrayed in a way that I think has not been accessible to us for a long time. And I'm interested to see where it goes, even with my concerns. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. See you next time.